Yo!
There it is.
That was fucking weird, man.
Alright, let's start over.
Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Chris Tutela, alongside my good friend, colleague, creepy co-host,
Ruben Borges. New things.
and welcome to episode number 43 of TTS Talk. We got a fun episode for you guys today. We think you're going to enjoy it. I don't know what this guy's got planned, but he said he's got something special, so you're going to keep that on the floor the whole time over there?
Yeah, I memorized it. So I got a couple questions we're going to ask Chris Tutela, all right?
Okay, and apparently I'm asking him, we're doing like he's asking me a question, I'm asking him a question, and we're going to see how these questions, these answers can help you.
This could be deep a little bit too, maybe not, I don't know. There are 4 questions I just thought of. And the first one is, you might have answered this previously, but if you could pinpoint one moment that got you into strength training, that it was the reason why you started training, what was it?
Rocky Balboa.
Really?
Yeah.
And just what, watching the movies? And
Sylvester Stallone, training, Arnold, and then my cousin was in the bodybuilding world too, so that started to get the iron juices flowing a little bit. But it was definitely, watching Stallone and Arnold, those two.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the movies and everything that kind of got you.
Yep.
Just kind of off track there. I mean, that really is crazy how big those two guys have
influenced my life.
But that's
sure.
Just
and everybody.
The whole generation.
Yeah,
it really is fascinating, and it's stuff that I think like The Rock. Shout out to Dwayne The Rock Johnson if you're watching.
Yeah, he's watching.
But I mean, that's really awesome that influence that they had.
All right. By the way, Franco Columbo just died. Rest in peace.
I know, it's great.
Yeah,
that was I saw a little article on that with Arnold talking about him and how that was like from the beginning all the way through. But well, let's get too off track. But okay, so again, those guys, awesome generation led. Now from here, I'm gonna ask you this.
Okay, we're not doing back and forth. We're not doing like a ping pong.
Okay, no, go ahead. I don't know if you have one. Go ahead.
It seems like you're in the zone here, so go ahead. You go.
All right. Well, to follow that, if you could pinpoint one moment when you decided to, you know what, I'm gonna stop eating Wendy's. I'm gonna stop eating pizza. Well, I'm gonna at least kind of worry about what I put in my body and kind of clean up your nutrition.
So cleaning it up started in high school when I thought that I wanted to get on stage and compete in bodybuilding. And this was kind of after football season, because for football I was kind of eating whatever I wanted. Mm-hmm. And then I got really heavy into training more so in the winter of my senior year in high school. So at that point is where I was just seeking out better nutrition advice and stuff like that. So I started that's when I started to work in protein shakes and eat more salads and chicken breast and start to work that stuff in a little bit more so. But it was inconsistent at best.
Because we're at school too, and school was tough with the lunch.
Not even that it was tough; it's just that I was a pussy at that point in my life. So it wasn't as consistent as it could have been.
Oh, so that was the birth. That was when it kind of started, at least.
Yeah.
Which eventually, obviously, became a time where you really gave yourself a strict 8 to 12 week phase. Correct?
Yeah. So it started. It stayed like inconsistent, but always like a thought. That kind of continued from high school to maybe 20, but also right around when I was 19, 20, that's actually when I was at a really low point in my life. So I was eating shit, so like the diet was kind of like inconsistent here and there, but then it got to a point where it was really low and I was eating really poorly and I was sleeping late and I was, you were punching me in at Bally's and I was doing all that shit. And then you talked me into doing a 16-week diet because you saw Rich Franklin do a back pose.
I still remember the pose. He was here. Yeah. Like, that looks amazing.
So you convinced me to do it, and that's so right. The tail end of, I guess that was 2008.
Yeah, we're going to Miami.
No. That was the second year. It was 2000. It was early 2008, late 2007 when we really started to work that in full time.
Yeah, because I remember I brought that up to you, and I was like, you were like, dude, that's gonna be rough. I'm like, no, I'm ready. I'm like, I'll just buy a couple things I buy in the shop. I thought if I bought like a good load, he goes, dude, that's not how it is, man. It's way worse. I'm like, whatever it is, I mean, I want to go all in and know that's what.
Yeah, you thought you were buying like No Explode and like and like Ripped Fuel.
I was gonna get the cookies. I'm like, oh, protein cookies. I got a couple.
But I'll tell you what, that and I told the story before. That was the pivotal point in my life that really made me make that pivotal shift and change the course of my life and really opened up doors for several other areas of my life and growth and everything else. Really got me to dive deep into fitness too, because I became so passionate about that and learned how much that I love this and how much that helped me change my life, that I couldn't wait to help other people.
I remember because I was punching you in at Bally's, I remember at the time, but then when you started cleaning up the diet, then you started building up clientele after that, and like you were kind of taking it to levels, and then made the initiative to like start out at East Coast and conditioning and things like that. So it did follow up. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here's a great follow-up question to that too. Maybe it can relate. I'm not sure, but there's no real failure, right? We always learn. When there's a failure, there's a low point in life, right? We learn from it. What would you say was your pivotal, something that you remember when you need to kind of go back and remember where you came from, or to get you through maybe a rough day or a rough set or anything like that? Is there a moment that sticks in your head always?
Yes, for sure. So the biggest, and this was a failure / mistake for sure, and that was so going into my senior year in high school. I just had a poor attitude, so I wasn't a superstar in the football field, but I was always a starter. I was always a solid player. I was, and going into my senior year, that's where I started to say, fuck it, I don't really want to play football anymore. I might quit. I want to just meet new girls, and I want to do that. That was my thought process, and that's what I wanted to do, which led me to skipping practice the week that we had a scrimmage. That scrimmage, I got benched because I didn't show up to practice, and then I never even chose to fight for my spot anymore. That was something that it was for a long time one of the biggest regrets I ever had in my life, because that led through me going through an entire football season, not being the player that I knew I could have been. And again, like I said, I wasn't anybody that was getting Division I scholarship. I wasn't going to the NFL. 5'8" on a good day, but but I know that I was capable of more of what I put into that year, what I did that year, and that actually haunted me for a long time. And again, that had a lot to do with the family stuff that I've went through in my life, and all the stuff that I've talked about before on this show and on the podcast and in articles and whatnot. But for sure. So like building this business once I finally dove into it. And getting the job, getting hired as a fireman, and putting myself through the academy as a volunteer, like that was the place that I went to constantly for, I never want to fucking feel that way again. I know how much I regret it, which led to now I'm more open-minded about it, and I understand that actually it's not that I am happy that I made that choice, but I don't fully regret it either, because that's what gave me the drive to do what I'm doing today, and helping more people and having a wider reach and more of an impact. So I'm actually in a weird way kind of grateful for me going through that phase of laziness and just poor behavior, at a younger age rather than at an older age, because if it was turned around, I know some people who are studs in high school and in college, and then they graduate college, and then they're so lost they don't know what to do as far as athletics go, or academics. So I'm kind of happy that happened to me in a weird way. But
and I'm asking that because I know I would train with you, and you would go back to, I think randomly you would say it sometimes, like when it was like a deep mode. I know that was always still there, and I'm curious if it still is that moment, but the interesting touch upon it, you realize that you learned from it, and that was something that you take from it. It's a driving force, right, to get you through certain things. And it's interesting that you say these athletes now, sometimes they're so good early on, they really never dealt with, because they always felt things could go well. And from what you hear from athletes when they go to college, now it's tough, and they hit their failure for the first time, where they gotta actually, you gotta step up, you gotta go for it, and it's like, whoa, what do I do? And that's something for all young athletes out there to know, find that driving force early, even when you don't really have one, you know, almost as if someone's always trying to take your job, you know, always like kind of bring that out like that. But yeah, you look the best of it. You made the best from it, from that scenario.
Thank you.
Which leads me to my final question. Now, if there was one thing you could pinpoint that you're just most proud of yourself, and you know, something we all should take pride in, success and things that we do that's great, because we're all great, we're all talented, we all have a gift. And what is the one thing that you can say you pat yourself on your back and you're proud of and that you accomplished?
I think it's this right here. I think it's building this business, you know, and you know, you know, just this building a business takes a lot of personal growth. You have to really learn to put ego aside. You have to learn how to handle that. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You have to make big investments that, you know, at the time it's not easy to do. But you know, I think for me, like learning that I had to do that, putting myself around the right people, and then also like something that, you know, I'm grateful for is you and James and Lauren and the team here, like seeing your growth. You know, that is something that fires me up too. Like your growth as a coach, like you've been doing this for almost 5 years now or so, and so like, you know, at first when it was just kind of like a thing, like you started this later in life, right, coaching people, and that was something where it's just like you were having fun with it, and it was but this became a real passion for you, where now that you're studying and you're doing all the right things and you're growing as a coach, that for me, like I'm proud of that. I don't know if I'm proud of myself, I'm proud of you, but like I know that like this was created because of like your growth was there because I think of the opportunity that you had here to coach, and we kind of worked together on the vision that I had for this place and seeing what your vision was and all that. So the growth of this business as a whole, meaning, you know, where it started to where it is today with over 150 members, to also the growth of you guys as coaches and, you know, just the growth of our members. I think all of that is something that I'm most proud of, because I spent years and hours building this fucking thing, you know, and like really clawing at it. And, you know, it definitely wasn't easy because I knew nothing about business. And, you know, for all you business owners, like that's something like you got to understand how to market your business. You got to understand all that stuff. Otherwise, you're going to be screwed. You're going to be out of business very quickly if you don't understand that. So like learning that, spending the hours, putting the time in, and really, quite frankly, making no money in the early years. Like really, once in a while, you know, you get somebody who's, you know, doing one-on-one training in the early years. So people would give you, you know, $1,000 for X amount of training sessions or whatever. So like once in a while, but it's like, all right, then I had to pay my rent, you know, and I had to live. I had to go to Belmar, right? So I had to use my money there. So it wasn't like I was making a ton of money, especially for the hours that I was putting into it. The return, you know, it didn't pay off to many years later, which is something that I always tell young coaches when people, you know, if they might ask me for business advice, it's like, you got to give this shit time. You got to master your craft first. You can't just expect all of a sudden to start a business and then boom, it just takes off and you have, you know, all these people there. Like, you have to become an expert, and the only way to do that is by putting the hours in on the floor. A lot of those hours in the early years, you might be doing for free. You know, you might be doing these consultations, writing diets. You could probably speak to this. How many diets did I write for you and other friends and other people as we were going through this? I never got paid for that shit. You know what I mean? And we were putting hours into that, you know, and then the research and all that stuff. The point is, it took a long time for the results here to actually show. To now we have, you know, we're thriving here with over 150 members. You know, that's just something that I say, pat myself on the back, whatever it is, pat you guys in the back. But yeah, that's
you should listen. This is something I want you to kind of take as be proud of yourself, right? It was a grind. It wasn't easy times, and you didn't just make an investment financially. You made it on yourself. Whether to leave a job, to say, you know what, I'm all in on this, and I think sometimes that's the biggest one in general. But to keep at it and knowing that success was ahead, and like you said before, kind of put your ego back. And I know that's hard to do, especially when, you know, this is your pride and joy here, and to put the trust in the right people. You've done the right thing. And you know, I appreciate it too, because I was one of those guys that played in college and I kind of was lost in not having a passion. And I think you and I had a couple other friends too that always kind of, dude, you ever think about coaching? I was like, it wasn't there. I'm like, and I know you guys kind of always saw it and be like, yo, you should coach. I just see you coaching. I'm like, yeah, whether it be a baseball or strength coach, I didn't know. I didn't think I was ready for that. I was still dealing with almost like me not committing my first stream or accepting it. When I did, and when I had this opportunity to do it, then I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's something that I see a lot of athletes go through.
Yeah.
And especially guys that even make it to the next level, like you make it to the NFL, to the major leagues, and then all of a sudden your career's over. Maybe it ended because of an injury or something, or even guys that retire. Like the guy, there's a tough transition. Like now what? Because you retire from professional sport very early in life. You're in your 30s, sometimes your 20s. Maybe 40 if you're really lucky, like
you're extremely young.
And so then it's like, now what do I do? Because my whole life I was really good at this one thing, but now it doesn't exist anymore. So it's like, it's a struggle that I see many.
One basket, and it's like when it's done. From what I learned growing up, what I've learned now is like I wish someone told me, listen, go this route, something great's going to come from it, whether you're coaching, whether you're a part of an organization, whether you're an analyst for a program or writing an article for the same sport that you love or whatever you do, like stay within that realm, something great will come from it, not as I thought of, either make it or you fail. And there's anything else. No, it's not fail.
Right.
You learn. Or
because sports, within sports and the journey that you go through when playing a sport, that's one of the best teachers and that life could offer, right? Like there's so many valuable lessons in adversities and winning and losing, and like that's why the participation trophy thing makes me fucking go insane. Because if somebody's receiving a participation trophy for just showing up, that is the worst. Like that's what that's going to breed is the biggest generation of pussies that the world has ever seen, right? So the participation trophy thing, that's one of the worst things that could have happened to our society, because kids now are going to be entitled. I sound like an old man.
No, but
it's true. But like kids are entitled and they feel like they're owed something. Like nobody owes you shit. You got to go earn it. And the best way to understand that is by playing a game, and you get your ass kicked. Guess what? You get your fucking ass kicked. You lost. Like
when you lose, and they say you lose, you learn. Like they need that. That's the only way they will get better. And I say now that all those unfortunate events that I went through playing made me realize, all the people I played with and seeing their failures and victories, I have a great relationship with dealing with many personalities because of it. So I'm very grateful of all that, So there's so much that comes from that journey.
For sure. Or if, as a baseball player, like you go and you strike out, a few times in a game, like that when you're gonna have to work to get better, so that doesn't happen again. It's like, okay, what did I do wrong? I have to learn from my mistakes. Like those are valuable lessons that that sports could teach you. But I think that's great.
Awesome. Well, that is all my questions there. I think.
All right. Well, we ran out of time. I think we're actually going to have to make an episode, part 2 of this episode. So this would be 43 part 1. We'll have to do 43 part 2, where I interview you on one of the next shows.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Good. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you learned a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions for me, shoot me over a DM on Instagram at Chris_Tutela, Tutela. Coach, where can these guys find you?
You guys can reach me at Instagram at _RUBEN, Ruben _Borges, BORGES. Feel free to ask any questions.
And guys, just a quick sidebar. If you are a man who is interested in training with us for 28 days, you could jump in our 28-day Strong SOB program right now for only $19 per week. $19 per week. That includes our 3-step nutrition system, a private Facebook group where we give you conditioning routines, guidelines. You're going to be training with us 3 days per week for 4 weeks. That program begins on September 17th. We're only taking the first 15 qualified people who register and sign up for it. If you are interested in signing up, head over to my bio on Instagram at Chris_Tutela. You'll see the link there. You sign up for it. You lock it down. All you got to do is put $19 down. And this program, we pride ourselves on being the best program around. We're going to help you not only shred body fat, but pack on more lean muscle mass, help you get stronger, help you move better, and really train in an environment that's second to none, where you're going to really creating great bonds, relationships with the people around you. You've seen all the people on this show before talk to you about that stuff. So make sure that you don't wait on it. Jump in ASAP if you want in.
Yeah, get your journey started.
All right, I think that's it. We'll catch you next week
On an episode of TTS
Talk. Catch you guys later.